Chapter 15, 61. View at the Peak. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. This was one of the greatest pursuits of refinement path, combining all kinds of killer moves into one Gooworm. For instance, Mortal Killer move Self-Strength. This move was a strength path killer move which Northern Plains Goo immortal Su Shin'er had created for her daughter, He Lu Lan. Its core was Strength Path, but it treaded on Soul Path and She Path. Once it was activated, it could produce a human phantom. The phantom's appearance was lifelike and was a portrayal of the Goo Master's inner consciousness. Moreover, this Strength Path phantom could act on its own and chase its enemies. There were altogether 50 Goo worms used in forming this killer move. According to Fang Yuan's current comprehension of the refinement path, maxim any killer move, be it of mortal or immortal level, could be considered as an incomplete recipe. That was to say, self-strain killer moves' contents could be altered by taking out and adding in various kinds of Goo materials, continuously improving it until it becomes a Goo recipe for self-strength, Goo. When the Goo recipe is perfected and self-strength Goo is refined, activating just this Goo worm could produce a strength path phantom. The benefits of this were clear as day. A killer move condensed into a Goo worm reduced the amount of Goo worms used to only one. When the Goo Master activates it, not only would it be extremely convenient and fast, the primeval essence expended would also be much less than activating the killer move. Another example was Immortal Killer movie Myriad Self. This move was Fang Yuan's unique creation. It combined enslavement and strength path made from the merging of killer moves like Dragon Horse Spirit, 3 heads, 6 arms, Rat Epidemic, Thunder Explosion, Leopard Rush, Horse Barrage, 3 Hearts Combination Soul, Beast Phantoms, 6-Arm Heavenly Zombie King, and so on. The core immortal Goo were Self-Strength, Pulling Mountain, Pulling Water, and Cleanse Soul. The supplementary Goo worms were All-Out Effort Goo, Bitter Strength Goo, Borrow Strength Goo, Self-Reliance Goo, Refine Essence Spirit Goo, Earth Strength Goo, Water Strength Goo, Wind Strength Goo, Lightning Strength Goo, Fire Strength Goo, Heavenly Essence Treasure King Lotus Goo, Lurking Soul Coat Goo, Breath Concealment Goo, Group Strength Goo, as well as all kinds of Soul Path Mortal Goo. This killer move clearly had lots of contents. It was extremely troublesome to activate. It was because Fang Yuan had practiced it frequently to the point where it had become a kind of instinct, that he was able to use it freely in battle. But in fact, it contained countless extremely complex steps. What if this killer move was elevated and refined into a Goo? Myriad self-immortal Goo. It would clearly be extremely convenient and usable. Fang Yuan would only need to transfer immortal essence and activate this Goo worm to produce tens of thousands of strength path phantoms quickly and conveniently. Fang Yuan did not have qualifications to do this before, but now with his quasi-supreme refinement path attainment, he had the ability to reach this level. All kinds of killer moves refined into Goo worms. Fang Yuan's heart thumped with excitement, but he did not lose his calm as he continued to ponder. I now have the ability to elevate killer moves into Goo worms. However, even though there are killer moves that can be refined into a Goo worm like Myriad Self, some killer moves cannot, like Purple Blood River Formation or Ignited Thought Flying Rock. If these killer moves are condensed to their limit, they will comprise multiple immortal Goo. Later on, I will need to coordinate and activate these multiple immortal Goo to use the killer move. This method has benefits and demerits as well. The benefits are that it will be much more convenient and quick. The exhaustion of mind is also sharply reduced. But there are disadvantages. First, when Myriad Self-Killer move is condensed into a Myriad Self-Immortal Goo, other immortal Goo might be required to be used as Goo materials to refine it. Moreover, the power of just Myriad Self-Immortal Goo might not be as strong as Myriad Self-Killer move. Myriad Self-Killer move used so many immortal Goo and supplementary mortal Goo, while Myriad Self-Goo would only be 1 Goo. If its rank was just rank 6 or rank 7, it would have limited Dao marks, thus not enough power. Another thing is that when only a Goo worm is used, it will be easy to counter. Killer moves are complicated, but they are also much more difficult for others to deduce and decipher. Killer moves could also be continuously adjusted and elevated. For instance, Myriad Self-Killer Move had the variation Move Strength Path Giant Hand and Reverse Flow Protection Seal. But Myriad Self-Goo itself would not have the potential to be elevated further. Of course, the overall benefits in elevating killer moves to a goo worm is still much higher, simply because the goo could be used as the core of the original killer move anyway, raising its power and also preventing it from being deduced easily. Even if some immortal goo have to be used as goo materials during the refinement process, I can refine them again. This ability would be extremely helpful to Fang Yuan. Look at Myriad Self first. Fang Yuan's Reverse Flow Protection Seal was a variation move of this killer move. Since the start, it was extremely troublesome for Fang Yuan to activate Reverse Flow Protection Seal. He needed time to prepare for it because of the complicated procedures. And if there was even a slight mistake, the killer move would fail and inflict backlash to himself. But if he had Myriad Self-Immortal Goo, Fang Yuan could modify Reverse Flow Protection Seal, greatly simplifying its steps and activating it much faster. With this, his battle strength would rise by another level. Fang Yuan possessed a lot of killer moves, but the ones he used frequently were few. Myriad Self could be condensed and elevated. Purple Thought Perception Starlight could be condensed into multiple Immortal Goo. Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation could also be condensed into one goo worm. By then, with Myriad Self-Immortal Goo and Ancient Sword Dragon Immortal Goo, he could use just 2 Immortal Goo to unleash the killer move Myriad Dragon. Divination Tortoise Transformation, Self-Cleansing Killer Move, 180 Slaves, Enslavement After Victorious Fight, and so on could also be condensed and elevated. As Fang Yuan continued to ponder deep into this subject, he suddenly had another insight. Wait, be it killer moves or refining goo, they are both basically the utilization of Tao. Isn't my Reverse Flow Protection Seal using Reverse Flow River? And didn't Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's Orderly Well use City Well? City Well and Reverse Flow River are not goo worms. Why could they be used? Isn't it because they are secluded domains of heaven and earth, containing a huge amount of Tao marks, which are then used by us? Fang Yuan thought about it again. The nurture, use, and refinement of goo worms were in essence Tao. There were too many goo cultivation paths: 1, fire path, water path, metal path, wood path, strength path, wisdom path, soul path, rule path, poison path, theft path. These paths all involve the nurture, use, and refinement of goo, all involving Tao. This is in fact a kind of Tao that connects us to heaven and earth. Suddenly, the most classic phrase of the goo cultivation world appeared in Fang Yuan's mind. Man is the spirit of all beings. Goo are the essence of heaven and earth. Never had Fang Yuan's understanding of this phrase been as profound as this moment. I want to condense and elevate killer moves into goo worms. I need to take out goo worms, add in goo materials, and merge them into one. Immortal goo are the fragments of the great Tao. Goo materials are the accumulation of Tao marks. As long as the path is the same, they can be substituted with each other. The reason why killer moves like Reverse Flow Protection Seal and Orderly Well can be activated is because Reverse Flow River and City Well have an abundant amount of Tao marks that can take the place of goo worms. From this point of view, these 2 killer moves have actually progressed from killer moves to goo recipes. As Fang Yuan continued to ponder, many of his questions from before were being clearly solved. Refinement path was actually rather special. Although it was one path, it was related to every path. The comprehension gained from becoming a quasi-supreme grandmaster was much broader and deeper than any of Fang Yuan's accomplishments in other paths. Thinking about it, I am using landscape as before Immortal Goo to restore Donghun Mountain. It looks like I am using a goo worm on the surface, but it can also be seen as using the killer move landscape as before. Any killer moves can be seen as an incomplete goo recipe. Thus, from another angle, this is also goo refinement. Only that what I am trying to refine is not a goo worm, but a rank 9 immortal material. Donghun Mountain. Fang Yuan was only rank 7, but he could refine rank 9 immortal material. The important thing here was the Orderly Well killer move, which was Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's method. And back then, the Orderly Well killer move that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable used on Donghun Mountain was of rank 9 level. Realizing this point, Fang Yuan immediately got many new ideas for the restoration of Donghun Mountain. Donghun Mountain can be restored. It can also be used as a core like reverse flow river and form an immortal killer move. Oh, I understand. The peak of soul cultivation recorded in Spectral Soul's true inheritance. The three-headed thousand arms demon soul. Isn't it an artificial, secluded domain of heaven and earth? Also, the rank 9 killer move, Ghostly Concealment of Thieving in Heaven. Demon Venerable has countless Tao marks working together and can function endlessly without adding any immortal essence. This is also an artificial, secluded domain of heaven and earth. All along, Fang Yuan did not understand why Ghostly Concealment did not need immortal essence and could continue working all the time. But now he came to a realization. Did Donghun Mountain require immortal essence? No. Did Luopo Valley require immortal essence? Also no. Spectral Soul forcibly resisted the calamities and tribulations, although he used immortal essence to activate killer moves. In essence, he did not require immortal essence to possess his extremely powerful battle strength. But this did not mean all kinds of Tao marks could be casually piled together with enough quantity to form a secluded domain of heaven and earth, or form a killer move like Ghostly Concealment. Tao marks needed to coordinate together. Wasn't this coordination just goo refinement? The required goo materials needed to be selectively chosen. Wasn't it nurturing goo? The required food materials needed to be of a certain standard. Wasn't it using goo? The coordination between goo worms was the coordination between Tao marks. Fang Yuan continued to ponder deeply for a long time before slowly opening his eyes. 3 days and 3 nights had passed. He had absorbed the refinement path true meaning in a few hours, but his comprehension used up 3 days and 3 nights. Fang Yuan's black eyes shone brightly. He looked even more unfathomable now. You. Looking at Fang Yuan's eyes, Lang Yalan's spirit became uncertain with shock. What's wrong? Fang Yuan asked. Lang Yalan's spirit sighed. The air you gave off a moment ago made me feel like I was looking at Giant Sun Immortal Venerable or Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. Any Gu Venerable was publicly recognized as a supreme grandmaster of their own path. Fang Yuan was already able to reach their boundary with his refinement path, quasi-supreme grandmaster attainment. He was no longer looking up at the towering mountains. From the level below, he was able to observe the scenery. This was the view at the peak of Gu cultivation.